And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Tech20 Tuesday. My name is Jeff Whipple, and Anglophone West School District member of the digital learning team. Today we're going to continue on our look into coding in K-5. And so I'm just trying to move this ahead a little bit. It is Tuesday, March 14th. The coding in K-5, this is part 3. And today we're going to explore the BBC microbit. So you may have heard the term microbit. You may not even know what it is. You may have some in your school and not know what to do with them. So today we're going to take a really quick and basic look at the BBC microbit. And before we do that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I do want to show you what a BBC microbit looks like. So this is a BBC microbit. So you see it on the front here. And this is the front of it. And you'll notice that it looks like a circuit board. And that is that's the back of it, I should say. This is the front. And that is because it is a circuit board. This is a fully functioning microcomputer. Doesn't have a screen, doesn't have a keyboard, although you can hook those things up to it. But it's really made to do other things. Its real power comes in a lot of other computing that's kind of hidden. But these were created, and you notice it says BBC on the back of it. And these were created actually by the British Broadcasting Corporation. That BBC is exactly what you're familiar with. And they were created in England by the BBC and in partnership with some other people, some tech companies. And they wanted every student to have one of these. So I believe it's in grade 6 or 7, I can't remember which one, every student is given a microbit to keep. And so they're using it through their school journey through the late elementary and into middle school to do all kinds of things. These are really powerful little tools. There are people who are using these to build fully functioning home security systems. You can do really a lot of stuff with this. So I'm going to show you just some real basic stuff, though. What this does, it starts to give kids an ability to control the environment around them. So the first two sessions we looked at code.org, which talked about some of those basic principles of coding. And then we looked at Scratch, and it again introduced a lot of those basic concepts on screen. And today we're going to make that extension to the off-screen world so that kids can see and start to create. So I'm going to come back and share my screen again, and we're going to open up a website, and we're going to turn that on, and we're going to open up the website, makecode.com, and I just happen to have it right over here. So when you go to makecode.com, here it sits, and you can come in here, and I'm going to open this up again just so I can see if there's any questions. There we go. And so makecode.com, we hit BBC, the microbit. You notice in here, there's a lot of stuff. There's Minecraft, there's all kinds of different coding platforms. But let's go to the microbit. So it, again, is a Blockly type programming. And I'm just going to start. You notice here it has tutorials, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later. But we're just going to start with a new project. And I'm just going to call this Tech20Tuesday. Now, the kids probably have already seen some basic coding, but if they haven't, that's okay. This, again, relies on that Blockly type programming. Now, you notice up the top that if students want to code in JavaScript for a more advanced programming experience, they can certainly do that. But for K-5, highly recommend that we use these blocks where they're just snapping pieces together to create an algorithm to do something. So let's start with something really simple. Oh, the other thing is that you've noticed that we've got this little microbit, and it's got all of this stuff on the front of it. Well, on the microbit website, there's also a microbit, and it's sitting here. It's called an emulator, and it's a place where kids can code and test their code even before they upload it to the microbit, because they do their code on here and then they send it to the microbit for action. So when we look at the microbit, you'll notice that there's a few things. We don't see the back side here, but we do see the front side. Actually, we can see the backside if I just click on here. Well, that just turns it around. That doesn't, that's okay. We don't need to see the backside. So if we click here, you'll notice that there are some buttons. So this is button A, and it's exactly the same as we see on the microbit, button A and button B right next to it. And those are buttons that make things happen. Those are those are what kids come to know as events. So those are things. So if we push button A, something's going to happen. They can also code it if push button B, something's going to happen. So those are inputs. And so I'm just going to grab on button A pressed. So now we've got this piece of code. So we're going to have it just scroll a basic piece of string that says, I love Tech20Tuesday. And then I'm going to come back here and get one of these icons, and I'm going to say an icon. So as I said, I can test the code. It's really simple stuff, but I can test it just by clicking on the emulator here where it says button A pressed, and now it's going to start to scroll, I love Tech20Tuesday, and then it's going to come up with a thing, with a heart. So that's kind of that first piece of coding. It's that building an algorithm just to accomplish something. So this is pretty easy for the kids to capture. And so the next piece of it is, how do we do is loops. So we've got loops here, and we can repeat that 4 times by simply putting it inside and putting all of this inside. So now, and I'm just going to make this go a little quicker, I love we're just going to say coding. So now this will go a little quicker, and you'll notice that because I put it in this repeat block, which is one of the other elements of code, then we've got repeat 4 times, and it's going to go coding, then a heart, and then it's going to go coding and a heart, and it's going to do that 4 times over again. I can get it to do it forever if I just move that repeat block, or I don't even need the repeat block if I do this, because it's going to do anything in that forever loop. It's just going to create and do it forever and ever. I don't need to have an event to start it. It's just going to do it right on start. I can also do it on start. So as soon as the microbit turns up, away it goes. So these are events, and these are really simple things. By the end of the first lesson, which is usually, in grade 3 to 5, by the end of the first lesson, the challenge usually is to create a loop that's going to have a heartbeat 4 times and then go dead in the other one. So you just come in here and grab another heartbeat and go like this. And so now it's just going to go back and forth between these 4 times. So when I hit this, and it went really quick. So kids have to learn how to use these little pauses. So we have to put one pause in there and another pause in there. And so now it will go really quick. Oh, we just got to wait for it. And 4, and it will stay on. So we give them a little challenge at the end. So by the end of the first lesson, they should be able to do this. It's pretty simple for them to do. So that's kind of, the intro to what's on screen. But as we said, we talked about taking this and making small robots and making animated things that light up and move. So if we wanted to do that, we are going to use these pins along the bottom, and these allow us to hook up to alligator clips, so that the alligator clips hook to pin 0, pin 1, or pin 2, and go, oh, by the way, I wanted to show you something else. The other input is on shake. So you could have it so that when you, so the neat thing about these, and I forgot to mention it right off the top, is in the microbit, it's not just a piece of code. It's got a lot of other stuff. It's got a thermometer in there. It's got an accelerometer, so it can tell you when it's shaken or when it's sitting up, and you can code it to go up and down. So if I look here on shake, you can see that it's got all kinds of other options. So if I tilt it right, it will do something. If I tilt it left, So you could think, well, you could build a car. And so when you tilt it left, there's a left light that blinks. Tilt it right, there's a right light that's going to blink. So there's all kinds of different things that you can do. If I shake it, it will do stuff. So it's a pretty cool little piece of electronics. But getting back to where we were, so let's say I wanted to have a light blink 4 times. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to keep the pauses because I do want those. I'll just, anyway, that's okay. So I'm going to come back here and underneath advanced, and I know it sounds like advanced, it's not that hard. Here are the pins. So pin 0, pin 1, and pin 2. The 3V is a 3 volt, so it's an extra piece of energy, I guess, an extra piece of power for things like these little servo motors. So you can hook these little servo motors to them and make them move around. So you could have some things, and I'll show you a couple of examples later. But for lights, it's just these digital right pins, P0, and it's pin 0. So 0 is off, and 1 is on. So now you'll notice that when I hit shake, there's the shake button. The light comes on. Pin 1, pin 0 comes on. So if I had a light attached to that, it would come on and stay on. So it's really that simple. I'm going to grab this one right here, and then I'm going to duplicate that, and we're going to make that as a 0. So it's going to go on and off and on and off 4 times. And let's see what happens when we shake it. So watch pin 0 right over here. So it went 4 times. Now I can make it go longer, so I can make it a full second. And there it is. And I know I'm rushing through this. I just wanted to show you. So it's going on and off slowly. So you could have some lights flashing back and forth. So it's got some really cool elements to it. These are really fun for kids to play with. You can hook lights to them. You can do servo motors. So you'll notice that if I come down here to the advanced pins again, there's a servo right pin. And so when I hook the servo motor to it, the servo actually is going to become part of the emulator as well. So you see the little motor. So you can control it. These are just degrees. Kids, I know that the degrees and those things is probably a little more advanced than grade 3 or 4, but kids figure this out really quick, that if they make the number less, that it doesn't travel as far. So you can, have it sit here at 0, and then I can duplicate this, and it's going to go to, let's say, 90. And now when I shake it, the motor is going to go back and forth. There it goes. So if I hook a little thing, a little popsicle stick, I can make something move. I can animate it. So let me show you a couple of things that I've done with some students in terms of making these happen. Here is an example of a Christmas ornament contest that the kids had, this was at Royal Road, that I worked with, and it turned out really fun. The kids had fun with it. Oh, it's not going to do that, is it? Don't do that. Close, and I'm going to close this, and I need to open this in a different way. Open with VLC Media Player. I'm just going to open this one. So here's one that was a Halloween one. I was going to say that too. Stop that. Let's go there. Let's open it with, see if we can find something that's good. It was open a minute ago. Honest. Let's try QuickTime. See if that's going to open it. So these are both on. Oh, and it's asking me for that too. What is happening here? Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Let's find it. So there we go. We've got this little animated Halloween projects. You'll notice here that they've got lights flashing. They've also got these little things that are moving. So they've got some movement in here. This is a cool one. This little kid, he wanted to do a moving bat. So he used a servo motor and had things, to make the bat move. There's all kinds of fun stuff. The other Christmas card, you can imagine, it's basically the same kind of idea. And it was a lot of fun for kids, and they had fun. There's one where the ghost pops in. Um, there's the ghost. So you can see here that this is a fairly simple and easy thing for kids to master. I want to come back to the microbit page here. So here where the microbit coding page is, it keeps all your projects on your computer, but you'll notice that it has a lot of tutorials here. Flashing heart, which is the one that I said, it's usually the challenge at the end of the first class. How to make a name tag, how to make smiley buttons and dice, how to code those kinds of things. But then it's got other things, and it takes us into music and toys. And so here's an inchworm. I'll open it up because it's kind of one of my fun ones. It's easy to do with some cardboard and with a microbit and a little servo motor. So this just moves along, if we can see it. So there it is. So it's that introduction for kids to robotics and to extend the computing out into the physical world. And they really get into this. They love it. They start to enjoy it. And so these tutorials walk them through it. So they begin to understand the basics of what it does. One last plug. So if you're looking for microbits, and I'm going to stop sharing. If you are looking for microbits, you can buy them online. A lot of schools have them lying around. I see them all the time. And so that's always good for if you have some microbits hanging around, it's always good to see if you can find some. If you don't have any, they're worth about $30 a piece or so, but it makes a great application to Brilliant Labs. Brilliant Labs, by the way, has funding to support innovative projects around technology and digital tools within your school. And they love to connect with teachers and help teachers figure out how to use this. You don't need the help because you've got our digital learning team, and I'm going to pull up our digital learning team here and share it with you so that you can see who we are. I'm going to share the screen. There we go. So our digital learning team are these fine folks right here. So these are the folks that I work with every day. And we would love to come and help you. Brenda Cameron, Carmel Desjardins, Yvette Seeley, Wendy Thomas, or myself, feel free to reach out to any of us. And jump into coding, robotics, using the microbit, not using the microbit, video production. There is so much you can do around with digital tools. iPads and all these things are becoming more and more prevalent, and so we want to leverage them as much as we can. So there you go. Tech20 Tuesday. The microbit is my favorite tool by far. I love the microbit. So if you have those and want to know more about them, want some help with doing these cool little projects, and the kids will figure out how to use them after that. Give us a shout, and we will talk to you the next time on Tech20 Tuesday.